are ready to get started. I want to welcome everyone to, again, our School of Physical Therapy virtual information session. It looks like we still have some people that are logging in, but my name is Tammy Trainer, and I am the Assistant Director of Admissions here at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. And I work closely with the School of Physical Therapy. And we're so excited to have this opportunity to come together and share with you about our program, about our institution, and we definitely want to entertain your questions. So throughout the presentation, if you do have any questions, I'm asking that you please put them in the Q&A chat at the bottom of your screen. Okay, and then we will definitely entertain your questions once the presentation is over. So before we get into our presentation, I do want to let you know that we have two guests with us. We have Jordan, who is a current physical therapy student. I'll let you introduce yourself, Jordan.
So, like Tammy said, my name is Jordan. I am a second year physical therapy student, almost a third year. I am originally from Rhode Island. I did my undergrad in Rhode Island. I have a bachelor's degree in biology. And I've been living in Worcester for about 2 years now. So I can answer any questions about living in Worcester and things to do here. And yeah. I've also lived both on and off campus, so I can answer questions about that as well.
All right, welcome. We're glad to have you, Jordan. And we also have with us Dr. Joyce, who is one of our faculty. Dr. Joyce, would you introduce yourself?
Sure, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Joyce. I'm one of the faculty in the School of Physical Therapy. I teach your evidence-based practice courses, which are your research courses, but also get to teach courses in exercise, therapeutic exercise, and in pain, which is kind of where I did my PhD is in exercise and in pain, musculoskeletal pain, and where most of my research is. And so I'm really happy that I get to teach that stuff to you all.
Well, thank you, Dr. Joyce, for joining us. We appreciate you being here. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I want to do is let's talk a little bit about our university. MCPHS is a healthcare specific university offering 100 programs in different fields. So healthcare is our specialty. Additionally, the students around you are working towards other healthcare professions. Through school-sponsored events and other social activities, you will learn a lot about different healthcare professions even before entering the field. So MCPHS has been around for quite some time. We just celebrated our 200th anniversary. So we've been around since 1823 as the oldest university in Boston and the second oldest pharmacy school in the country. Finally, MCPHS prides itself on maintaining clinical affiliations with some of the learning medical institutions in the nation. So we stood the test of time. We're still here. And we're just, excited that healthcare is definitely a booming field. So wanted to share that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about why MCPHS, why Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. Well, if you look at our statistics, number one, we're the number one university for earning power. So MCPHS reached the top of the Wall Street Journal Times list, surpassing the University of Colorado, Denver, Georgetown University, Harvard. MCPHS graduates are trained for high-paying positions and careers in high-demand fields. So that's great. Another thing I want to share with you is that we're number 3 when it comes to economic value. So there was a study done by Georgetown University that is ranked MCPHS as the third best institution in the United States for the economic value that it provides for its students. Sorry about that. We're also number 4 when it comes most transformative. Money Magazine ranked MCPHS 4th among 700 plus US universities based on metrics such as graduation rates and earnings. And last but not least, we're number 5, according to Money Talk News, has ranked MCPHS for having the nation's highest paid graduates. So that is definitely phenomenal. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Worcester. So our program is offered on our Worcester campus. I don't know if any of our participants that are with us this evening has ever been to Worcester, but it is definitely one of the largest in New England. It's the second largest city in New England with over 200,000 residents and about 38,000 college students at 11 colleges and universities. So this is definitely a college type town or city. And I kind of want to turn to Jordan before we go further into the city of Worcester, because you've been in the program now. This is your second year, right?
About to finish up my second year.
So from a student perspective, tell us a little bit about the city, what you like, what it's like, especially with 11 colleges and universities kind of all in this one city.
Of course. So I like to think of Worcester basically the same as Providence, Rhode Island, because that's obviously where I grew up. But obviously it's a city, so you have to be safe about it. Like no matter where you go, obviously don't walk alone at night. But it is still a very safe city, especially where MCPHS is located, because the Worcester Police Station is directly across the street. So I never feel like I'm unsafe. Plus, you're typically walking around with a bunch of other students, whether they're from MCPHS or other schools. I personally like to go to the WPI track because we're right next to WPI, and like I go for runs there. So tons of stuff to do as well. I live right down the street from a park, so I also like to go for walks there. There's like 450 some odd restaurants in Worcester alone. So there's something for literally everybody, whether you're gluten-free, dairy-free, just like to eat food in general. There's tons of options. What my roommate actually works at a restaurant that serves 2-for-1 pizzas on Mondays and Tuesdays. So there's tons of deals. Also, being a student in Worcester, any restaurant or like cafe that you go to will usually offer you a student discount. So that's pretty nice. It takes like 20% off of a lot of things. And then also there is a train that goes directly to Boston. So you don't even have to drive into Boston, pay all the tolls. You can just take the train in, which is very nice. It's about an hour away still, so it's still pretty commutable, especially if you're going to like concerts or anything. Mansfield also has a bunch of concerts that I go to. There's tons of hiking spots around. I basically just never feel like I have nothing to do when I'm in Worcester.
Besides studying, of course, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to attempt to show this video. I want to warn you, I have been having some major technical difficulties. So let's see if this will work.
Worcester is kind of a college town. MCPHS here is blowing up. You got other colleges, WPI, Kent State, Clark, all around here. So it's starting to feel like a budding college town.
Close proximity to Wachusett Mountains, so that's great for snowboarding. Or it also has a brewery, which is really nice for the above 21 crowd. There's a lot of things to do. Worcester's in a good location, so if we wanted to go to Boston, you could go to Boston for the day. If you wanted to go see New York City, you could travel and go see New York City for the weekend. In Worcester, there's just a lot of culture, so you experience a lot of different diversities. And so in that aspect, I think it's a good town. There's a lot of things that you can do, like you can go to the ecotarium, there's like movie theaters.
There's also a lot to offer. There's a DCU center where they have the Sharks play a lot. The Worcester Palladium, which is down the street. They got concert venues, so you got a little bit of sports, a little bit of music, pretty much every weekend.
Our growth this year in Worcester is a perfect college town. Students have good experience here. Our secret here in Worcester is accelerated programs. Our students work on the best equipment. They have the best faculty. We have to recruit our faculty from all over the country. So they're serious students. They want to come to school. They've already had their undergraduate experience. So our students can do all their clinical rotations right in the Worcester area. And they know what they want now. And, the quicker they get out, the quicker they can go to work.
It's a good area to just focus and study. But if you need to have time to relax, let loose, you have the option of doing that on the weekends, and you can go to Boston, which is really right up the street.
All right. So excellent. All right. So I'm really glad that we had an opportunity to at least talk a little bit about Worcester. Let's move forward. So I want to talk for a minute about housing. The good news is that this is a graduate program and we do offer housing. Housing is available to all MCPHS students. All of our units are competitively priced compared to housing in the area. Rates are located on our website, and the rent includes all utilities and units come fully furnished. So I always like to tell students, if you decide that you want housing on our campus, you don't have to worry about bringing in couches and chairs and tables and all of that heavy furniture. We provide all of that for you. So that's definitely a great perk. Now, we do provide a variety of housing types. So you can choose what type of environment you would like to live in. And we also offer high quality amenities, 24-hour fitness center. We have cafes, computer labs, game rooms, and study spaces, all in close proximity to the residences and classrooms. So I want to turn back to Jordan. Jordan, how have you enjoyed living on campus? Because I know you did at one point. And do you feel that it has allowed you the opportunity to connect with other students living within the MCPHS community?
Absolutely. I always highly, highly, highly recommend living on campus for at least your first semester to your first year. I lived on campus. I lived in one of the studio apartments on campus my first year. And obviously it was very convenient because I was close to school. So like it was a very quick commute. But if there was ever like study groups that were going on, especially later at night, I was able to attend those. And also we called it family bonding, but if we ever went out and just hung out after class, or say if we just went to say like the market town, went to the rooftop bar, I was there conveniently to be able to go and experience those things and get really close to my classmates very fast. I know a couple of people did commute kind of far from my first year, and they were not able to attend all of those things. So they felt like a little bit more distance in that first semester. So I always highly recommend it. Plus everything is right there and you don't need to worry about buying anything.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Absolutely. And if you want to learn more about housing, you can definitely reach out to me or go to our website and kind of browse some of the options that we have. We also have a YouTube channel. And so we've done some virtual tours of some of the different types of housing that we have. So if you want to do a virtual tour, you can go to our YouTube site and just type in MCPHS TV, and you'll see a list of different videos that you can take a look at for housing. Okay, so we are an interprofessional community. Here's a glimpse at all of the programs that are offered between our Worcester and Manchester campuses. We truly are an all-encompassing health science institution, ranging from both Eastern and Western medicine. As healthcare is moving to incorporate greater teamwork and collaboration across professions, interprofessional education is definitely a part of our mission. So even though we have a separate campus, we're still united as a community. So when you talk about bringing the health sciences together, at least once a semester, students participate in an IPE, interprofessional education activity, where they engage with classmates who are working towards different healthcare career paths. This is a great way for students to learn about other healthcare professions, how to work with patients from other cultures and backgrounds, and how to work as a team once employed in the healthcare system. Now, we're going to definitely dig a little deeper into the whole interprofessional education as we get further into our presentation. And I know Dr. Joyce can give us more information about that a little bit later. And speaking of Dr. Joyce, this is definitely his area of expertise. I'm going to kind of turn things over to him. He's going to share with us about our high impact learning in the Doctor of Physical Therapy program. Okay, Dr. Joyce.
Perfect segue there, Tammy. It's almost like we've done this once or twice before.
Right.
So yeah, so I get to talk to you about, although I would like to talk about the restaurants and the breweries that you go to, Jordan, and certainly the 2-for-1 pizza that perked my ears up a little bit.
Turno.
Yeah. I have to talk to Caitlin about getting me in there. I'll talk to you about the DPT program and what we're doing here and how we're preparing you to enter into the practice as a physical therapist. So this is the model that we use, the way that we kind of think about our curriculum, centers around the concept of high impact learning, and the kind of like central components of high impact learning, we think, is learning that is contemporary, learning that provides ample student support so that there's lots of opportunity for students to be successful, especially since we know that students are different learners these days, or they're not the same as I was when I was in DPT school, and certainly in these last 5 years with the pandemic and virtual learning, there's different challenges that you all face, different ways that you learn. So we need to be flexible and supportive in those ways. One things that we're really, really proud of and within our program is how quickly we get you into experiential learning. So like day 1, day 2, you're seeing patients and working with them. I think that's a testament largely to what Tammy was saying earlier about the fact that we're a health science school and we have those clinics right at our fingertips. And because we're a health science school, we also have the opportunity to collaborate with our healthcare colleagues, because that's what you're going to be doing when you're out in the field. You're not working in a silo. So we take advantage of the fact that there's an OT program here, pharmacy program here, PA program here, so we can get students working with them and learning together. Because that's again what healthcare is. We're proud to be in Worcester. You heard Jordan talk about how great, how nice the area is around here. How we immerse ourselves in the community. How we love to leave our fingerprints on the different aspects of the community, and how we love our students to go out and serve the community. So we do that. We think it's part of our university, but also part of being in healthcare is to realize that you work within a community, and we want to be a part of the Worcester community and contribute in meaningful ways. And then certainly, you're a medical field and in a healthcare school, and so knowing the science, knowing how to conduct science, interpret science, and read literature, perform research, interpret research. I mean, that's a necessity for any healthcare program. So you can go to the next slide there, Tammy. Thanks. So I'll give you an overview of our curriculum. So the first year in the curriculum, you have your foundational courses like anatomy and basic science-based courses, research courses. So you get me in the first or second semester, we start talking about research methods and how to read studies and interpret and appraise the methodology and the data from it. And then your second year, we shift a little bit more to the clinical application courses, which students tend to enjoy a little bit more because they are more clinically focused and more patient-centered, although you can't get there without having that strong foundation in the first year. And then in your third year, you go out and onto your clinicals, and that's your clinical education. So that's when you're out there working as a student DPT and seeing patients, and providing physical therapy care to them. That said, that's not the integrated clinical. So you heard me say in the previous slide that day one, you start seeing patients. So just to be clear, in your third year, that's your full-time clinical education experience. So that's when you're a student DPT. But day one, year one, is when you start doing your integrated clinical education. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a couple slides. You can go ahead. This
Now,
is
go ahead, Dr. Joyce. I'll let you handle this one.
Yeah, you should, because this is a behemoth of a slide here, but this is a schedule that looks like our spring schedule. Just to give you an idea, what's important to note here, though, so if I can orient you. If you look at the top where it says DPT1 and then DPT2, so the DPT1 is the DPT1 schedule and DPT2 is the DPT2 schedule. So it looks a little bit more overwhelming than it actually is. And then the other thing to consider is, so if we look at the DPT1 in the first column where it says SOM lab 8 to 10 and then SOM lab 10 to 12. So you would only be in one of those labs. So that's not the full, this wouldn't be your schedule because you would only be in one of those lab sections. So they're both lab sections are on here for a lot of these, and that, so it makes it seem like you're in classes a lot more than you actually are, but this just kind of gives you an idea for what the spring semester is. We always start at 8. We usually end around 4, sometimes a little bit later, but it also depends, like, if you look on Wednesday at the kinesiology lab, so if you're in the first lab section, you'll be done at 3:20. And if you're in the second lab section, you have that break off, and then you're done at 5:20. And then if you look at Wednesday mornings and Friday mornings, it says you see ICE1 and ICE3, so the DPT1s and the DPT2s. And that's your integrated clinical experience. So that's built into your schedule. It's a course that you take, and those integrated clinical experiences are part of your class time. And again, I'll talk a little bit about those in a couple slides there.
Yeah, and I just want to add too, just looking at this schedule, I love the fact that there's so many different aspects of physical therapy within this week. I see geriatrics, I see pediatrics, I see neuroscience. So it seems to me like there's definitely a preparation for the big umbrella of physical therapy. So that way students can kind of decide or learn about, maybe where their best fit would be. So that's great. All right.
Like I said, DPT school is difficult. It's really hard. And because we're such a small school, we have more, we're a high touch because we're such a small program, we're high touch. And we're able to work very closely to support our students. So all students are assigned a faculty coach that you meet with from day one. And that faculty coach, if it's me, like, we get to know each other real well. We get to be real close with one another. We meet regularly. We interact very often, not just from an academic perspective, but also from a career perspective. Like, where do you want to go after this? So my responsibility, and I take a lot of pride, is making sure that you're here and you're successful in school, but then you're successful after school as well. So we get that. We're not, it's not a big program, not a big university where you don't know your faculty and your faculty don't know you. Like, you don't have a choice. We don't have a choice, but to become real close. And it's part of the reason why I really enjoy working at this university and working in our program, because I really enjoy our students and getting to know them and support them. And then we have other we have other supports. So we have professional tutors, who are people who've graduated from our program, who come back and provide support. We have peer tutors. So those are older DPT students or DPT students in the classes above you, who provide tutoring for the classes that you're taking right now. And then when things don't go well, of course, and they might not, we have a process to help you remediate, to make sure that you can stay on track and graduate graduate and be successful going forward. So we really focus a lot, like I said, on our student support within the university, within our program, and then within the university, we have Centers for Academic Success and a student access and accommodation. So if you need accommodations, we make adjustments that way. So we have university level support and then programmatic support as well. And of course, it doesn't end with the success that you have within the program. It's also success that you have after. So you need to make sure that you're prepared to pass your boards. So the boards is a 250 question exam. It's 6 hours long. It's difficult. It's tedious. It's exhausting to do. And so it's not like any other test that you've probably taken before. It's not even like the GREs. It's longer than the GREs and arguably more difficult than the GREs. And so we start preparing you for that early. I think, Jordan, you're taking one of those practice exams pretty soon, actually, if you haven't already. And those practice exams are long. They're 200 questions, and they're very similar to the content that's on the boards. And Jordan's in her second year, and she's already taking this. And then when she comes back, she doesn't know this yet, but when she comes back, or maybe she does, from clinical in the spring, she'll be enrolled in a 15-week content review. She'll take 3 to 4 more practice examinations. She'll get detailed item analysis. She'll meet with me or as an advisor to go through the exam, to talk about strategies to improve, so that we can be successful. Which she will be successful. We know she will be successful on her boards when she takes it in July. Next July, not this July.
Hopefully April.
Oh, or maybe April if she's going to take it earlier. Yeah, so that's different. So we do have the option to take your boards earlier if you're demonstrating success on all these preparation things and all these preparation exams. And yeah, we're happy when our students, we just had a student take the boards in April and they passed with flying colors, actually. So it's great. Next slide, please.
Okay.
So here's where we talk about our integrated clinical experiences or integrated clinical education. So it happens, like I said, in year 1 in the fall and the spring, and then year 2, fall, spring, summer. And we have 2 tiers of integrated clinical education. So the first one is observation. So you go and you observe the physical therapists and physical therapist assistants practicing in different settings. Then the application sites are where you go and actually deliver. So you have a mix. Some sites are a little bit high level and technical, like in an acute care setting, or in settings where the patients are a little bit more complex. We probably don't want you going in day 1 and delivering physical therapy care to those patients. But there are other settings where it's completely appropriate for you because you have the basic skills day 1, not literally day 1, but first semester, to provide basic exercises on how to improve balance or strength or something like that. So those are the application sites. Next slide, please. And these are just some of the names of the sites. So if you're from the area, you probably recognize some of these, like Beth Israel, Elliott, Bay State, St. V's. We have a close relationship with them. But if you don't, just know that these are different. We have varieties. Some of them are acute hospitals or rehab hospitals, early intervention, like going into people's homes, school settings, private outpatient PT practices. And then we have memory care units and home care units. So it's just a wide array of opportunities because we want to expose you to them as quickly as possible. And like I said, some of these are application sites where you're doing physical therapy type care, and the other ones are more observation based on the complexity of the site. Next slide, please. This is kind of our hallmark. This is our, what we like to, our flagship program, which is the Balance and Mobility and Wellness, Balance Movement and Wellness Center. This is housed in our clinic. So that is actually our PT lab space that you see in the background there, where you learn your lab skills. It doubles as an actual PT clinic, a balance and mobility wellness clinic, where patients come in, or it's not really a PT clinic, but we treat it as that. It's a wellness center where participants, community members come in, like community members who, for instance, like had a stroke or have Parkinson's or had a brain injury or hemiplegia or had knee replacements, and they're not in physical therapy anymore, but they still want somebody to walk them through and get them, exercises and help them continue to progress. So they come to our BMW, a Balance Wellness Center, and our DPT2 students mentor the DPT1 students and help them perform a PT evaluation and develop a plan of care, and deliver care to these patients over the course of a semester. And it's just I'm not directly involved with the BMW, but it's just such a great, as a faculty, it's so great to walk by there and see our students in action and see them working with the community members and see them applying what we're teaching them. So yeah, no, that's good, Tammy. You can stay here because this is really what my favorite slide of this slide deck is. This is our little tunnel of love. This is what we do. You can press play, Tammy, and I'll talk about it as it's going through. So this is what we do at the end of every semester. I don't know if it'll play. Yeah, where we just show our appreciation. This is one of our participants, and we want to thank them. They come here, they give us a great opportunity for our students to learn and to grow, and we like to shower them with a little bit of love at the end of their time in the BMW. It's a fun.
That is,
It's a fun community. It's a
it's
fun little tradition.
it's amazing. I love
You gotta
the.
come to it one sometime, Tammy.
I
The energy is
know.
like it's
Yes,
awesome.
I am
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to that.
We'll let you take an honorary walk down at some time too, since you work so closely with you.
Oh goodness, that's
All right.
fantastic. Okay.
If you walk through our college and walk through our building, it looks like a lot of the times it looks like you're in a hospital because we're a healthcare school. Our rooms are built look like hospitals because we want to simulate a hospital setting. In certain settings, you might work in, some of you might go on to work in a hospital. So this is our simulation lab where we try to, working in an ICU or in a hospital, it's high stress, it's intense, it's nerve-wracking at times. So we want our students to get in there, feel some of the stress, but also make sure they have a good time. The bottom middle picture is not the correct way to transfer a patient from one surface to another, although that mannequin does look pretty safe in their arms there. So as you can see, having fun, but also learning at the same time in our sim lab. Okay, next slide, please. So it's along the same lines of being in a looking like a hospital or a healthcare education center, like I said, we have the opportunity to interact with other professionals. So we do interprofessional collaborative education quite frequently. So in this picture, you'll see some of our students working with pharmacy students and PA students. And this one in particular, they were looking at, I think, dementia sensitivity. So like, if a person has dementia, what's the role of physical therapy? And if they can't see well, what's the role of optometry? And if they can't touch and feel well and manipulate their prescription bottles, what's the role of occupational therapy? And how do they remember what type of prescriptions to take? What's the role of the pharmacy? And then how do they go through exercises? What's the role of physical therapy to prevent falls? And so it's everybody at one table. It's a pretty fun experience, and it's great to get our students sharing and learning from the other professions. Next slide, please, Steve. And then, like we said, we want our students to go out into the community. We want them to be ambassadors. We're so proud of the way that our students represent our university and our program. So this was just one example of them going out and doing balance screenings and fall risk screenings at a senior center. And they were teaching exercises, and they did some fall risk screening. And I think this was actually televised. So it was on like Worcester Public TV. And so, all these students came back with their egos through the roof because they were movie stars after, or TV stars after this. And we got to watch it, and we had a little faculty showing. We watched them go. It was really fun. And again, we're just proud to be, to have our students, but also proud to leave our imprint on the Worcester community and go out there and interact and engage with the community, because it's just so valuable for us. Go ahead, Tim. And then some other service opportunities that we do. So we have a service club. They organized in the top right picture a jet pull for the multiple sclerosis organization. So they raised a bunch of money and tried to pull that jet as far as they could, go. Down the bottom is a recent picture from the Boston Marathon. We had about 25 students go out and volunteer to pass out water and cheer on the runners and encourage them and just support the Boston Marathon runners. And then the top left picture is our Camp No Limits. And so that's not our camp, but it's this camp that we send our students to, where they help students just kind of acclimate to, they help, not students, so they help young adults or young kids who have recently had an amputation acclimate to the new life of living with the prosthetic. So it's a week-long camp up in beautiful part of Maine that our students go to, and it's always a very impactful experience for them to be able to work with these young children who have gone through such a transformative process, and to be able to help them, find some joy in life with riding their bike or walking or something like that. So it's a great relationship we have with that organization. And then one thing that I particularly love as a researcher is the way that we can integrate and work research into our students' experience. So like Jordan and I got an internal grant from the university to conduct a study on improving accessibility to health and fitness in people who have Down syndrome or other intellectual and physical disabilities. So we're collecting some of that data, and hopefully we'll be able to present it at a national conference sometime in the following year or so. And then you see some other projects that we had some students working with UMass baseball and doing some data collection with them, and then they presented their research at our university scholarship day. So there's opportunities for those who are interested in research to get involved then. Great, I think that's my last slide. I know, of course, the most important thing is our outcomes. So where do our students go on? One of our students just got accepted into a residency at Mass General Hospital. We have students who go into, we have another student who's opening up their own business. They become clinical adjunct faculty, and of course, as I talked about earlier, passing those boards. So we like to keep that pass rate up high. I think that's the last slide.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Joyce. That's just amazing information. And just kind of continuing on talking about physical therapy, this is Dr. Cheryl Babin, and she did a podcast called Life in Motion, The Power of Physical Therapy. And I just personally thought that this podcast was so powerful and impactful because I learned a lot from it. The one thing that really stood out to me was physical therapy concerns any way the body moves, including breathing. And that was like an eye-opener for me, that breathing is actually part of our physical therapy. And so I thought that was really fascinating. So if you're interested in learning more about the podcast, at the bottom of the screen is the link. And of course, I can give you this if you need it. I can email it to you. Definitely not a problem. I highly recommend taking a look at this podcast. All right. So now this is where I come in. So let's talk a little bit about the application for admission. So the first step is to submit an application via the PTCAS. Now remember, PTCAS is where you're going to send all of your documentation, everything. So you don't send any transcripts or letter of recommendations or anything to MCPHS. It all goes to PTCAS. What PTCAS does is they verify everything. So they're the ones that collect all of the information and put it together for us to review. A bachelor's degree needs to either be earned or expected before the term that you're applying for. We need all official college transcripts. So even if you took some courses at a community college or maybe you took a course somewhere, we need those transcripts, because what we like to do is we like to see your overall grade point average, or GPA. We typically like to see a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. We definitely like to see that you have some sort of physical therapy shadowing experience. We like to see at least 10 hours on your application or more. Of course, the more hours you have, the more attractive your application is. So just kind of keep that in mind. August 1st is always our deadline for prerequisites. So all of our applicants who applied to fall 24 are now working on their prerequisites, and the expectation is that they are completed by August 1st. Now, of course, you know, if there's a course that may go to August 8th or August 15th, that's something that we can definitely work with you. I just ask that you communicate that with me, and then, you know, we can definitely help you with that. 2 letters of recommendation is required, but 3 is definitely preferred. And if you're an international student, meaning that you've earned a degree outside of the United States, you would need to contact World Education Services, or some people call it WES, and you will need a course-by-course evaluation. And what that will do is examine every course that you took, and it will give us an equivalent of that grade that in America. So it will give us a GPA and everything. So if you are international, you definitely want to take a look at that. And then once we get your application and we decide that you are a qualified candidate, or we want to learn more about you, we do invite you to an interview. Now, that interview is virtual, but it's a really good opportunity just for us to sit down in a more intimate setting and learn who you are, away from like behind the application. So, of course, you know, we see your name on paper, we read your personal statement and all of that, but we still want to know who you are. And referencing to what Dr. Joyce said earlier, by us being a small college, that's why we are asking you to come and do a virtual interview, because like you said, it's very close-knit. You are definitely going to be known by your by the faculty. It's not a situation where you're sitting in a classroom with 300 people and, you know, the professor has no idea who you are. Totally opposite from us. So that interview is something that's very important part of the application process. So admissions. We do have rolling admission. We ask you to apply early. I do need to let you know that this is no longer applicable. Our fall 2024, we're pretty much wrapping that up. So if you're interested in applying for our Doctor of Physical Therapy program, I am strongly asking you to take a look at fall 2025. Those applications are not open yet, but if you go to the PTCAS website, it will definitely let you know when those applications are going to open. And then once they're open, we will start the review process. Again, for a competitive application, we look at your cumulative GPA. Keep in mind, if you retake any courses, and I strongly stress this, PTCAS will include those retakes in your cumulative GPA. So I strongly, tell students to keep that in mind, that those retakes can have an effect on your cumulative GPA. We also look at your prerequisite GPA. We read your personal statement. We want to know what interests you. We want to know your experiences, what motivates you. And of course, that virtual interview is where we tie everything together. And then I always emphasize a campus visit. We would love for you to come and take a look at the Balance Movement Wellness Clinic. Take a look at our campus facilities. Maybe, Dr. Joyce might be walking down the hall and you can meet him and have a conversation. Jordan might be hanging out, having a cup of coffee or something. So I highly recommend going to our website and scheduling a campus visit. Now, when it comes to financial aid, all domestic students with a valid FAFSA on file will be considered for federal aid. Keep in mind that our physical therapy program offers a merit scholarship up to $7,000 per year, and we offer affordability appointments. So Lynn Berry is the Student Financial Services contact for the physical therapy program, and so you would want to schedule an appointment with him to talk about FAFSA, to talk about expenses and tuition, and get a plan of how this is going to all play out. This is a very, very important part of the process. And I strongly tell students to make sure that they get the affordability appointment as soon as they can. So that way you have an idea of what to expect when it comes to the tuition. And that brings us pretty much to the end of our presentation. I want to check and see if there are any questions in the Q&A. All right, so I don't see any questions. Is there anyone that has questions that maybe just popped up, or anything that you want to ask us at this time? Well, if there aren't any questions, again, this is my contact information. I strongly encourage you to email me. You can call my office or my office cell number. I am always willing to schedule a one-on-one appointment with you if you want to talk with me about your particular situation. That's what I do, and I love what I do. So please contact me with any questions at all. I'm always happy to assist and help. I want to thank Jordan and Dr. Joyce for joining us this evening. We appreciate you giving us your time and helping us learn more about this wonderful program. Oh, we have a question. Yay! Oh, well, it's not a question. It's actually a it just says, thanks for a great presentation. Thank you, Paul. We appreciate you joining us. And Paul, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to email me and I will point you in the right direction. All right, well, if that's it, I hope you have, wait, looks like there's another one. Oh, okay. Thanks, Paul. Have a good evening, and we look forward to hopefully hearing from you soon. Good night.
See ya, Tammy.
Bye, Jordan. Thank you so much.
Of course. Have a good weekend.
You too. You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.